Isn't it strange and ironic that man's greatest wish would be to live forever and not to die? Yet when it's offered as a free gift, it's rejected as foolishness. As children, we have great imaginations and we make believe and are engaged in fantasies, wishes and dreams. We're so open, playful and full of life, and we believe everything. We can't wait to get up in the morning, and we don't want to go to bed at night. We listen to story after story of fantasy and see ourselves as the prince or the princess. Life is innocent. Sex is not even an issue in our early lives. The days are long and full. What happened? Maturity and education destroyed our stories and our dreams. They are untruths. We are taught not to dream or believe in the impossible anymore. We are conditioned and put in position for our roles in so-called predictable world and society. The loss of our dreams and hopes and anticipation means a loss of the ingredients of faith and thus a loss of the gift of eternity. The irony is that as children we are closer to the truth than when we became adults. In fact, if we could stay or could have stayed as children, we might have had more hope of living forever. We live in a world that is murdering generations of children before they are born. Why? Because they didn't arrive at the right time. If they had arrived on schedule, that would be okay, but right now we don't need the hassle. Then there are those who are born and one parent, normally the father, decides that he is not ready to be a parent yet and does a runner. If he is forced to support the child financially, he does it with regret. We have a system that promotes sex as desirable right to every human being, provided they are of mature age, and this is just as normal as eating, drinking, or going to the toilet. Masturbation is presented as natural and normal throughout one's life. Fornication, homosexuality, sex with animals, sex toys, pornography, or adult movies, and a host of other things, all normal sexual pursuits for mature adults. We have retirement villages rapidly filling up with old men and women in their twilight years, many still looking for the one. In fact, generations of men and women today are doomed to a Groundhog Day. Life of loneliness because of the way our society treats marriage, family and commitment. Why? Because they are brought up in a system that promotes pleasure before responsibility and represents individuality and selfishness. Many single men and women in their twilight years are still on the lookout for the younger lover or partner that they never found in their lifetime. They failed to appreciate the purpose of the sexual experience, so had sex instead with many partners with no commitment. God gave this precious gift of intimacy to a man and a woman in marriage and for life. He calls it knowing in biblical terms, where Adam knew his wife and gave children. Greek has the word gnosko and Hebrew yada, which is the same holy act. The act is holy, and the two individuals become one in God's eyes. This is miraculous, and it's God's plan. The act fulfills God's plan of intimacy and the procreation of children, hence family and our Father's blessing. Without marriage we have emptiness, a sense of loss, dissatisfaction, frustration, loneliness, fatherless or aborted children, God's curse, and ultimately death. In the eyes of the Creator there is no such thing as sex life. There is only marriage. When God dealt with Abraham, the father of our faith, he dealt with his penis and commanded circumcision. This was to be a covenant between God and Abraham and his male offspring. Abraham was circumcised at 99 years of age, and his son Ishmael, who became the father of all the Arab nations, was circumcised at 13 years old. Isaac, Abraham's son, born to him at 100 years old, and who was the father of Israel, the son of promise, was circumcised at 8 days old. God dealt with the male sexual organ, which he deemed most holy and a symbol of fertility. and dedicated to God by the forsaking of the flesh, when the foreskin was separated from the body. From there on in, man was branded on the organ that has the most potential to create life. Today God circumcises the heart through faith in him, and we have now a new covenant, a new agreement between God and man. In this there is still a separating of the flesh from the spiritual. Society has completely turned the most sacred act of knowing into a sport available to everybody regardless of age today. Sexual gratification and the pursuit of it is available and endorsed as normal by our mature and adult fathers of society. It has become a major focus of society in advertising, magazines, computer, and a way of life to modern man. Marriage has become a piece of paper, and the fruit of marriage, our children have become disposable items, whether alive or aborted. We're all living in a society where massive attack is happening on the cradle of our being and purpose. God said, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth." Well, what are we filling the earth with right at this moment? God endorsed marriage and symbolizes unity and family. Unity by triune relationship, and marriage and family when the bride and the bridegroom becomes one, the church and Jesus Christ. There is to be a marriage supper of the Lamb that will take place when he returns to take up government upon the earth and rule and reign as king. Sadly, the majority of the human race will not be at this party. They were all invited to live forever and to the marriage feast also, but decided that the microwave experience of life that promises instant gratification is too important. Waking up to the reality that we have all been tricked into believing a lie is more urgent than any global warming or impending cataclysmic world war. To more openly present these truths to a lost and doomed human race is imperative and urgent. The world is dazed and confused and disillusioned with their reality of living. They are dissatisfied with brands of Christianity that have the truth but have misplaced it in boxes of tangled religious acts and doctrines. This is a rescue mission for the lost children of God, whose inherent right was to be part of the family of God and have the promises of living forever in the eternities with our Father in heavenly places. Fear God and obey the commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring all things to the judgment, whether it be good, whether it be bad. That's Ecclesiastes, the book of, written by King Solomon. Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth and the life. No man comes to the Father unless he comes through me." In conclusion, how thick are we to be misled into believing that life as we know it, surrounded by consumer goods and the pursuit of wealth, is the reason for our existence? We're starting to see the environmental changes happening in our world as a result of our misuse of natural resources and greed. Animals that we expected to be around forever are being found only on reserves and in zoos around the world. Vegetation and natural habitats have been plundered and reduced to scrub. I believe as the natural body heals itself, so too will Mother Nature heal itself, or the earth expel the thing that has harmed it. And that, my friend, is us, the human race. God has planned it that way, but will come and bring new heavens and a new earth, whereby peace will reign. Today, some of the last frontiers in this world are being industrialized and commercialized. We have seen Asia swept into capitalist consumer societies in the last 50 years, from rice paddy to computer. Japan, Korea, Taiwan, India, Pakistan, and now China. Once that is completed, I believe you will see the race for world domination. It has to happen to enable control of the remaining natural, mineral and energy resources, which include food and water. This power struggle will bring in Armageddon, the big battle, and then the greatest tribulation the world has ever seen and will ever see. And unless God intervenes, no flesh will survive, according to the Bible. But for the elect's sake, that's those called Christians, these days will be shortened, then the end will come, which is a new beginning. Where does this leave us as the individual? Where we started, my friend. In the beginning we have our lives and our choices to believe what God says, or believe the lie that this is all there is. The most precious resource we have is our time. In this system we exchange that for money, which we then use to buy stuff and pay for the cost of living. But the real cost of living, my friend, is the wasting of our time in the purposeless pursuit of a lie. Our money is going into the wrong bank, the one on earth, and not the one in heaven. If we had discovered the real purpose of living at an early age, we could have been depositing into our heavenly bank and putting aside wealth for eternity. E hara I te mea mā te uaua, me te kaha engare mā toku wairua. E ai te iwa o ngā mano, ko wai koe o te maunga nui. It's not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. Who art thou, O great mountain?